We go. And we are live and we are recorded. And I am here with Joe Nicassio, who I'm excited to see what you've got to bring. I mean, we've been in each other's orbits for quite a while. And I'd like to say I know more about you than I do. What I know is that at least on social media, you have a great sense of humor and a good personality.
I like to think so.
Yeah. So based on that, I said, yeah, come on in, man. You seem funny.
Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Right. Right.
Someday we'll look back at this and laugh at this. Why wait?
All right. So Johnny, say hello before we get started. Unmute yourself. There you are. You're unmuted. Say hi. CW. Who's CW? You showed up as Johnny originally. Oh, no, Mike says CW. Okay, well, I guess all that matters is you're here with us. So I'm going to mute you since you don't have a mic, and it doesn't matter. And now we are going for it. Joe, take it away, man.
Are you seeing my screen?
I'm seeing your screen.
Cool. Okay, well, I put together this presentation. So one of the things that you said, Manny, is I guess your group is looking for some stuff on selling and how to sell better.
Yeah.
And I have been trained by so many people in sales. You wouldn't even believe the number of people and on different systems. And, I think we do need to be careful. There are a lot of people that have books on selling that can't even sell their own book. So not all sales training is created equal. I actually went to Tom Hopkins boot camp 3 times. I've been trained by Brian Tracy.
Yeah.
I've been trained by Taki Moore. I've also, I used to be, I'm not necessarily too proud of this, but I used to be the marketing director for Speed Seduction. If you don't get laid, we don't get paid. Awesome. And they have some of the most powerful persuasion techniques around. I also am trained as a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming.
Okay.
And then I've had some other things. Ari Galper, Unlock the Game Out of Australia. It's been a passion of mine to really decode this stuff. And I think a lot of that's rooted in, I made a bunch of money. I made over $1 million and I did it on pure hustle and it all crashed and burned. Mm-hmm. And, actually a great story I like to tell is once upon a time, a man he walked onto a construction site and there were 3 men working. He asked the first man, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm laying bricks." He asked the second man, "What are you doing?" He says, I'm building walls." And he asked the third man, "What are you doing?" And he looked to the sky and he smiled and says, "I'm building a cathedral." So if you're tired of laying bricks and building walls and you want to build a business cathedral, I can help you do that. And the truth is everybody wants the $1 million or multi-million-dollar business. But here's the truth. If you want to build a tall cathedral, you got to start with a strong foundation. Yeah. And that's why I created my whole employee escape plan coaching program, is because I see too many people building a business on hustle and not with structure. And structure is what's going to help you endure. Yeah. So, one of the things I've really recognized is a lot of people really don't like to sell. So I put together this thing, a crash course on selling for people who don't like to sell. And I've got a few slides that I'm going to zip through real quick. I teach people to turn their talents into treasures, and I help bright people overcome their challenges, create a business that works. Normal stuff. And we only have CW here, and it would really be great to know what are some of the challenges that people are having in sales. Manny, maybe you could just be a proxy for your people and tell me, what are some of the things you're hearing?
Sure, I'll be happy to. So I look at the challenges are in, I'd say, 3 places that people are aware of and 1 place that they're not. Okay. And this actually applies to me as well. I thought this was unique to me until I started really diving in and realizing everybody has this problem. Everybody in quotes. So the first thing is, we were talking before I started recording, and you quoted or paraphrased Taki Moore, who said the harder your marketing works, the less you have to work at your sales.
Yes.
So
the harder,
more or less. I find that in the words of a friend of mine, Chris Stock, who is a sales trainer, how you do your opening which would be your marketing, your setup, your awareness, your branding, hugely influences how hard or easy it is to close.
Totally.
And I was not aware of that at all until recently.
Yeah, most sales are lost at the opening, not at the close.
So that might be a great place to start.
Yeah, I've got that actually covered in my notes. Was there something else?
Yeah, when the taking charge of the conversation right from the beginning in a way that isn't weird. We'll just say weird. So that you don't seem sleazy, you don't seem aggressive, you don't seem anything that people would typically be uncomfortable with.
Got it.
The next one is dealing with that feeling when the money crazy comes out. You're going through the call, everything's going great, you're connected, you're communicating, and then all of a sudden it's the financial life story.
Right. Everybody's got a sad, broke story.
Yeah. And,
and some of them are really good. They're entertaining.
Well, what I found, Joseph, is it's strange because, like in my own experience, I have been ready for a certain level of money story. And sometimes I've been like swept off my feet by the sheer elaborate magnitude of it. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any person, but if you really have 3 kids in college and both parents in assisted living and you're living off one income that's set, why did you get on the call in the first place?
Right.
So that kind of thing.
Right. In my case, I help people with their income. So they're so focused on their expenses, and it's like, let's fix the income part so you can cover all those things and still have overflow.
Yeah.
Was there something else that you said? There was something that there were 3 obvious things, and then
the final one is just feeling like you're in integrity, leading to and through the close, the offer, the saying the price, and.
Okay. Great. That gives me some things to emphasize. If at any point you have questions, I want you to come in and jump in and be an advocate for your people and for yourself, and
will do.
Just ask away. Just a little bit about my story. I made $1 million. I lost everything. I had this revelation that, the purpose of business is not the coolest tech, and the purpose of business is not to make money, but the purpose of a business is actually to create a customer. Yeah. And when you become customer centric, it actually changes the game completely. And one of the things I'm really proud of in my own personal business is I sleep really good at night because I know I make people's lives better.
Right.
It feels so good. And so this was a big shift. Technology was changing, and that, when I was in the boom, I was making a lot of money. But the moment technology changed, everything that was modern all of a sudden became antiquated. Yeah. So I kind of had this midlife crisis. It turned into a midlife calling. And I just, I wanted, after I lost everything, and, I really wanted to make sure I never, ever, ever lost a business again. And so I ended up spending time with Jay Abraham and learning from a marketing genius. And I realized that almost nobody really understands marketing. I went to a trade show with all the knowledge of things I learned from Jay Abraham. And it's like, I wanted to help everybody, and everybody didn't want to. Everybody wasn't receiving me, Yeah. But I also, we get to that fork in the road. Do you chase the money, or do you chase the wisdom about money? And I would have made a lot more money if I would have just chased the money. But I really was on a pursuit for the wisdom, and I think it made all the difference in the world. And so, I take a stand for success. I made money, lost money, came back, mentored by geniuses, and this 25,000 hours of research. When I worked for Jay, first thing I did is I went to one of his paid seminars. It was $5,000 a person, and I put $500 on a credit card. There's 500 people in the room that paid $5,000. That's $2.5 million.
Yeah,
for a 3-day weekend. And so after I went to the first seminar, Jay and his staff, they go like, want to come to another seminar? I'm like, I can't. I just lost everything. And they said, we know. Could you barter? And I'm like, what could I possibly do? And they said, we need transcription. So they sent me boxes and boxes and boxes of audio cassettes of 30 years of Jay Abraham think tanks on marketing. And I listened to these with an audio cassette and a yellow pad, and I word for word wrote Jay's stuff and all the brilliant people he was interviewing. And then I typed that stuff up, and it went to Jay's office to actually be part of the J. Abraham Marketing Encyclopedia. And so I've got a pretty world-class education. I wrote a book called Resurrecting America's Entrepreneurial Spirit. You know, I was mentored by Jay. You know, and just as a side note, I do this karate thing.
Shotokan.
Shotokan, that's right. And so in the big scope of the way I teach people, there's like planning is choosing the right business for you. Positioning is the branding. Packaging is the story and the offer. Promotion is getting the word out. And then persuasion is this selling piece. So I just want, and then performance is, you know, once you get the work, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
And so I just want to, you know, where does selling fit into the big context? And that's where it fits in. So here's the problem. The problem is, you know, people are afraid of salespeople. They're afraid of the government. They're afraid of, you know, getting bad information. They're afraid of making bad decisions.
Okay.
And they're afraid of salespeople. Yeah. And it's kind of understandable why. You know, because they've basically been kind of screwed. And so they hold on to their money really tight. A lot of people do sell crap in a box. A lot of people don't deliver the goodies. A lot of people say, hey, sign up for my coaching program, and you end up getting a bunch of tapes, and you don't even get interaction with a real, you know, person to coach you.
Yeah.
And so people are very tight-fisted with their money, and it all feels very risky. Yeah. You know, it's very risky to spend money on something, you know, on stuff that doesn't work. And so we want to flip this around. Here's the real opportunity. You know, people don't buy logically, they buy emotionally. But the real opportunity is to engage the heart and the head. And when you do that, people not only spend money with you, they say thank you as they're paying you.
Yeah.
You know, there is the reluctant buyer, but there's the appreciative buyer.
Right.
When we really get this right and it makes logical sense and it's emotional, you know, they say, you know what, it's smart spending money with Manny. It's smart spending money with Joe. It's smart spending money with CW. It's smart spending money with Alan. It's smart spending money with Marcy. Okay? Yeah. And so what we need to do is we need to build up this desire. You know, if there's no desire, there's no sale. And if there's no trust, there's no sale. That's a side note. But desire alone isn't enough. You know, you need to, you know, have you ever been to the mall and there's things that you want that you don't go for it versus those things that you want and you go for it?
Yeah.
That there's a distinction there, and it's called decision. Yeah. Decision is this willingness to go for it. Now, a lot of times you've emotionally got them there and they logically see it makes sense and they want to make that decision. Okay. But then there's something holding them back. And I didn't make a slide for this. I almost made the slide for this, but I didn't. But there's even if you have all three of the first three things, there's a fourth thing, and what's holding you back, and we need to address that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we're talking to somebody, they want to do it, you know, it makes sense. It's like they know there's a return on investment. So we need to ask, what's holding you back, and then address that. Well, I don't have the $3,000 all up front. Great. Right. Well, I understand. Well, let's break it into payments.
Right.
You know, let's be flexible.
Joe, can we dive a little bit into, like a lot of people struggle with that moment, just being open and candid. You know, it's almost like we go into the sales call trying to pretend we're not in the sales call.
Well, yeah, I am going to cover that.
Okay, cool.
I got some slides for that. So, yeah, and this is it. Are you a salesperson or a trusted advisor?
Dude, you got the best slides ever. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. These slides, each one of them is so good, man.
Yeah, you know, so who's the guy in the background here? Tom. Tom is the consigliere. He's the trusted advisor. Don Corleone listens to the consigliere. And so we want to be that person that we're not, you know, we're not the salesperson. We're the trusted advisor. And when you speak the truth, you know, I told you earlier that I made money, lost money, and I really went on this relentless, obsessive, compulsive quest for the truth of what works.
Yeah.
And when you're all about that and you speak the truth, it perks people up. It's like, this guy's not a bullshitter. He's straight. He knows his stuff. Yeah. A lot of people think that the key to sales is confidence, but I think that the best confidence comes from competence. And when you know your stuff, you're not a bullshitter. You're like the real deal, and people get a sense of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I agree.
And let me elaborate on that. You know, there's different kinds of confidence. There's like a rehearsal confidence. You know, if you practice something 100 times, you can do it 101.
Mm-hmm.
If you we call that rehearsal confidence. If you perform on stage or perform a task 100 times, you can perform it 101. But there's a third kind of confidence called acceptance confidence. And, you know, our whole life, you know, sometimes in life, we're walking through a door and we don't know what's on the other side of that door.
Right.
And so there could be a lack of confidence. But the truth is, our whole life, we've been walking through doors and we didn't know it was on the other side. And we've survived every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so acceptance confidence is this acceptance that no matter what comes up, I'll be okay. I'll roll with it.
Nice.
And so what would it be like if your persuasion process provided huge trust, huge value, huge worth, and desirability to your prospects? You don't have to be the pushy salesperson because, you know, you're trustworthy, you're valuable, you know. And one of the things I've learned, and this is a really important reframe, you know, why do people spend all that money on a Mercedes-Benz? Is it the engineering? Is it the safety? You know, is it because the car is worth $100,000?
Right.
No. The reason people buy a Mercedes is because they say, I'm worth it. And so when you're dealing with your clients, if you can say, wow, Manny knows his stuff, he will really get me to the next level, I'm worth it, the sale's going to happen.
That's gold. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. You know, Luke is a guy he's one of my clients. I met him. He's a therapist, and he lost his therapy license. And as a therapist, he was able to do amazing work and get paid by insurance companies. Mm-hmm. But when he lost his license and doing it as a coach, he had a lot of trouble. You know, and I started working with him, and he's, you know, hit record sales months just by teaching him some sales stuff. So, you know, the first thing that I think is really important is, you know, the reason we get so much resistance is we start our conversation at the beginning and we go right into it. Hey, you know, if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, if you're in real estate, or we go straight into like, let me tell you what I'm all about. Let me tell you about what I'm selling.
Yeah.
And we got to stop that crap. Like before we connect at any kind of a business level, we need to connect as human beings.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I actually have some elaborate training on this, but and this comes from the pickup artist world actually. And it's learning to start a conversation with a total stranger. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of two levels. The first thing is, how do you initiate that conversation with a total stranger? And so the formula is observation and then utilization. And there's all kinds of things. You can observe the person and what they're wearing. You can observe the environment and how they interact with it. You can observe their energy.
Yeah.
But if I'm saying, you know, I noticed that your finger is next to your eye. I noticed that you're wearing a blue shirt. I noticed that you have headsets on. And, you know, I'm observing that and utilizing that in conversation. We are now calibrated. Okay?
Okay.
And then once you start the conversation, you want to be able to continue it. And I've got formulas, and I'll rattle them off real quick. I'm not going to go in depth on this, but one is called FORM, F-O-R-M. Can you tell me what, you know, hey, what about your family? Mm-hmm. O is occupation. What do you do for work? R is recreation. What do you do for fun? M stands for motivation. What inspires you to pop up out of bed in the morning? And then I have another formula. I use GAINS, G-A-I-N-S. So, you know, what goals do you have? Did you set up New Year's resolutions? Are you on track? A stands for achievements. What's your greatest achievement you're most proud of besides your children?
Right.
What are your interests or hobbies or, you know, things that you're interested in? N stands for networks. Do you belong to any clubs or groups or professional associations or community groups, bowling league? So N stands for networks. And then S is skills. Oh, what kind of special skills do you have? All of these questions, you don't ask them all, but it's a nice tool bag after you've done observation utilization. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to continue the conversation, connect with them as a human.
Yeah.
This is huge. It's a game changer, because when people notice that you care about them as a human, they're going to open up, they'll soften their heart to being receptive to you.
Right.
The second lesson here is you want to have a sales agenda where you win every time. Now, part of the problem is we're too invested in getting the sale.
Okay.
My goal is to get a sale today. My goal is to get 3 sales today.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with that is it has those proverbial dollar signs in our eyes. When the customer sees that this represents my rent or your car payment, they feel it. They sense it energetically.
Sure. Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's a win-lose agenda. So if I get the sale, I win. And if I don't get the sale, I lose, and I beat the crap out of myself. Oh, I should have got that one. So the big shift is to shift your agenda. The agenda that I really recommend is when I go into a presentation with a prospective client, I am looking for the truth of a good fit. If the truth is it's a good fit, I win. Mm-hmm. And if the truth is it's not a good fit, I win too. Because every time I get the truth, I win.
Okay, nice.
It's very powerful. And what this does is it takes all the pressure off the whole situation. And so, like, what's a good fit? In my case, money, service, and fun. I want to be of service, but I also need to get paid, and I want enjoyable interactions. And if all 3 are not present, it's not a good fit. But on the other hand, if they will pay me and I can be of service and it's a pleasant relationship, I will put my heart and soul. I will show up as a massive contribution to the success of my clients. So there's a lot, and what's really powerful about that is they have more to win from that agenda than I do.
Tell me more about that, because that seems like that's really important.
Yeah, this thing about, like, I show up as a massive contribution to my clients. I actually learned this through a Landmark course. I took this 10-session course through Landmark on effectiveness. And one of the girls in the group, her name is Margarita, and Margarita is this actress, and she's really talented, and she's well trained, and she does martial arts, and she has been employed as an actor, and she's got a nice website. And she's going on all these auditions and not getting the gig. And so during our training, she invented a new way of being, a new way of showing up. And the way she decided to show up was to be a massive contribution to the audition, a massive contribution to the director, and a massive contribution to the success of the project. And what happened is, in this 10-week course, she got a TV commercial, she got another TV commercial, she got a Netflix gig, and she got another TV commercial. And I'm like, wow, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And it changed everything for me. And so, Manny, is this something you could adopt pretty quickly? Is just really coming, I'm here to be a massive contribution?
That's always my philosophy. So it's something that I have adopted. I like how you're describing it. I'd like you to maybe give an example for Alan, Marcy, and CW of what does it look like to go into a sales conversation thinking only about massive contribution?
Well, it's like, at some level, I am compassion for hire. I really care about human beings, but I can give somebody 30 minutes or an hour, but after that, I'm not a charity, I'm not,
right.
I do charitable things. I do, in my heart, when it feels right to help somebody, I do. Mm-hmm. But, it's like, if you pay me, I care. If you don't pay, I don't care. It's like, I will give you that care for an hour. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when you make the decision, when you get your credit card out, I am here to make a big difference in your life, and I don't hold back. The truth is I'm exposed to all kinds. I got a massive library of material, mm-hmm. and I don't really care. Between me and you and the people here, I don't care about copyright. My job is to get my client a result, and I will bring whatever resources I have to make sure that happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's like if my clients don't win, I really don't win, even if I got the money. And so let me just continue, because I do have a lot more.
Sounds good.
The third thing is to the third thing is to really get good at mastering objections. And I have some teaching on this that I can do. Let me go ahead and create a doc here. So there's this really neat process, and it's power, persuasion, pacing. Again, I learned this from the pickup artists, okay? So when the girl says, it's like I ask a girl, would you like to go have a cup of coffee with me? And she's like, I got a boyfriend. Okay. Well, I understand you're dating somebody now. I understand you're with somebody now, and I'm not suggesting we go around the corner and make out like teenagers. But if you could sit down with me and have a cup of coffee, what would it be like to enjoy having some laughter with a brand new friend? There's some ninja stuff going on there. So the first part is you pace. Most people in objections, they want to overcome the objection.
Yeah.
You don't want to, because the thing is that, it's like if they give you an objection, you want to like overcome it,
Right.
And you don't want to do that at all. You want to pace it. So somebody says, I don't have much money. Say, I understand money's tight. They say, I don't know if I have the time. I understand your calendar's full.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other objections that come up?
Those are the two big ones, right? The one that's never expressed is, I'm not sure if you're the person to help me.
I understand you're not sure if I'm the person to help you, and I'm not suggesting that I've got tons of experience over the years to help you do that. But if you could tap into my free resources before you even make a decision, if you could check in with my references, what would it be like to find out I am exactly the person you're looking for?
Nice. Yeah.
So the first part is you pace, and the languaging is like, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. The second part is you use negation to implement to install a hypnotic command. So I understand you have a boyfriend, and I'm not suggesting that we go around the corner making out like teenagers.
That's
okay. So negation, the brain can't really process negation.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that you don't think I'm the right person. And I'm not suggesting that I have more training than anybody you've ever met. Okay. So that allows you to actually tell them where you want to go with it. And then you use what, well, actually the languaging is, so this goes over here. So this is actually called a modal operator of possibility. So what we want to do is just get a little chink in the armor. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically, if you could, what if?
Yeah.
You want to, like, what if I was the right person and I brought all the magic you need?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the little crack, and then you use a modal operator of certainty. What would it be like? Okay. Now the word would presupposes it will happen.
Right.
Okay. This is a powerful formula. Can you see how you could use this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm liking it.
Yeah. And even if you handle an objection, they come up with a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure when my next paycheck is. I understand that you don't know when your next paycheck's coming in, and I'm not suggesting money can come in before you even expect it. But if you could find a way to get started in this coaching program where you can make more money, what would it be like to start making more money so you never have to worry about that ever again?
Right.
Okay. This is ninja stuff.
That is ninja stuff.
Okay. So, I could go on a lot about that, but so the first thing is, focus on the prospects, connect at a human level before going to business level. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
And then the second thing you want to do is you want to discover their true needs. If you qualify better, well, this is why you'll hear me saying this all the time. Joe, how much does it cost? It's like, well, it's malpractice for me to give a prescription without a proper diagnosis first. Tell me more about your situation.
Yeah.
Now, what I really love about that phrase is it positions me as a colleague of doctors, right? Mm-hmm. It really positions me as a professional.
Yeah.
The third thing you want to do is discover their objectives and their desire, and what do they want to feel? This is one of the great things I learned from Doggy is, we need to, what do you want? What do you really, really want? Reconnect have you lost your sense of possibility? Do you like know that so much is more possible than what you're asking?
Right.
And a large part of our job in sales is to reconnect people with the sense of possibility that so much is greater than their current situation.
Well, that's good. Let me just take a second and say that again. So much of our job in sales is to reconnect people to the possibilities of what could be. I paraphrased it, but those of you listening now and in perpetuity, that's crucial. That's huge.
Yeah, otherwise they're stuck in their lack of possibility.
Right.
The fourth key here is we need to present powerfully, and people don't buy our awesomeness. And let me go back to the little diagram here. So, every business in the world could be described as like a phone booth. Your business is like a phone booth. It's kind of a strange thing, right? In walks Clark Kent on kryptonite, disempowered, and out walks somebody with superpowers.
Right.
Like Manny, and so what happens in the phone booth, we call it transformation. Okay.
Right.
And like, I'm awesome, you're awesome, CW is awesome, Marcy's awesome, John's awesome. I don't know you guys, but hey, you're all children of God, so that makes you awesome. So, like, you're alive. That's like really awesome, and you have like gifts and talents. But you all have superpowers. Nobody pays us for our superpowers, but they do pay us for the superpowers they get after they go through the transformation.
Right.
But here's the problem. Clark Kent on kryptonite is all weak, and he doesn't know what it's like over here to have the transformation. So one of the most powerful techniques I learned, again, from the dating and community and the pickup artists, is this thing called double time distortion. I don't know if you can imagine a time in the future, say 2 months from now. It's near Christmas time. You're with the man that you love. You're holding hands. You're kissing. And you can't even believe how amazing it is to find the man of your dreams, pointing to yourself. So I don't know if you can imagine a time in the future where you've actually found the love of your life. You found true love. It's amazing. You feel wonderful. Everything smells sweeter. The food tastes yummier because you have so much love in your life. And you can remember a time in the past when you didn't even think it was possible. The time right now when you made a decision to get into my relationship coaching so that you could create that for yourself. So the first time distortion is imagine them in the future, and you put them in their very happy place. And from that happy place, the second time they remember back to now as the time that they changed their trajectory by hiring us.
I like that.
This is ninja stuff. This is really powerful stuff.
I think that's my favorite ninja hack. Well, okay, I'll just call it a hack. That's my favorite ninja thing we've seen so far. That one definitely appeals to my sense of style.
Yeah, and so, a large part of what we're doing, people aren't paying for our awesomeness and our transformation.
Right.
They're paying for what they get on the other side. And one of the things I like to, if you think about it, Manny, you, CW, Marcy, we all spend money on stuff. And there's a common thread in all of our spending. Why do you go to a nicer restaurant versus a fast food or making it home? Because it makes my life better.
Yeah.
Why do you spend money on getting your brakes on your car repaired? Because it makes my life better.
Yeah.
Why do you spend money on the Jack Daniels?
if you do, yeah.
I'm not convinced it makes your life better, but if you think it makes your life better, that's the reason you're spending money on it. Right? Okay? So here's the thing. That's what we spend money on. We flow our money out to others because we think, why do we stand in line for the new iPhone? It makes our life better. So if we want to reverse the table, we want people to spend money with us, people need to really get that we make their life better, but their life kind of sucks right now over here. And so we need to paint them a picture of what it looks like over there where their life really is better.
Yeah.
And when they can see, and there's a powerful principle, again, from the seduction world, is anything another person imagines, they will perceive it as their own thought, therefore it won't be resisted.
Right.
So the key skill is to capture and lead the imagination.
Yeah.
If a woman feels like, hey, I'm trying to put you into bed, she's going to resist it. But if it's her idea, you can't stop her.
Right.
Right? So cool stuff, right?
That's very cool. Yeah.
And then trusted advisors, they don't close the sale, they invite. So that, like going back to the slide of with Marlon Brando, the Godfather, the consigliere doesn't need to convince Marlon Brando. He brings the truth to Marlon Brando. He's trusted by Marlon Brando. He's trusted by Don Corleone.
Right.
And so Tom is going to recommend or invite or offer him to do something, but it doesn't feel like sales. It's like, here's my professional recommendation.
Yes. Nice. So,
okay.
Let me just recap that one, paraphrase that one for everybody. A lot of us have anxiety around the close, the part of the sales where you say, this is how much it costs. I take credit cards or whatever it is. And there's a big paradigm shift here for you guys. Right? If you think of yourself and position yourself as the trusted advisor, all you have to do is recommend, invite, and offer. It doesn't even feel like a close.
And I want to come back to that because you talked about, and Taki has a really great formula, and it has to do with your offer. Is number one is, do you understand the problem?
Yeah. And
then do you make a prescription that makes sense? And then what's your promise? And then what's your model of how you work? And then there's logistics. Okay. And then there's one more piece called price.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I'll do is make sure that I understand the problem. Like I'll state the problem to them. This is your prescription I recommend. Here's the promise of what I do. Here's the model of how I work. We go through that whole thing. Here's the logistics. And then at that point, before I even bring up the money, I say, other than the money, is this a program you want to be involved with? Like, let's separate the program from the money.
Yeah.
So like if they so the whole thing is these are all value. This is the value, and then this is the price. So the entire presentation, and there's like a whole maybe 45 minutes of presentation before this, it's all about, value to the customer. And what I want to make sure is that what I'm giving, this is huge. Okay. So the measure of wealth is not how much you have. Take your left hand and pull it towards you like you're receiving cash. Pull it towards you. Okay. And the right hand is pushing out. The measure of wealth is not how much you have in the left hand, but with the right hand pushing out how much you give, share, serve, contribute, enhance the life of others.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I've spent so much time talking about how this program, I understand your problem. Here's the prescription that I can give you. Here's the promise of that prescription. Here's the model that makes sense that's going to help you get there. Here's the logistics. Now, of all this giving, do you like all this giving I have? And they're like, yes. Okay, so the only other thing left is the money. The program is $3,000 or, 3 payments of $1,000. Does that make sense? Are you comfortable with what I'm saying? Where do you think we should go from here? And if we spend so much time building the value, Jim Rohn used to say, if the promise is big enough, people will pay the price. If the promise is clear, people will pay the price. And so because I am giving so much, I honestly feel I undercharge for what I do. Sure. And at some point I will be increasing my fees. Yeah. But I don't feel bad about asking the money because I give so much.
Right.
Does that kind of help melt away some of the resistance on that, or the
yeah. I think if Marcy or CW, you guys want to type in a question or a comment in the chat, do you guys feel like this is helping clarify these things for you guys?
I really would love your feedback, guys. And also, if you have any questions, please raise them.
Yeah, or questions.
So I got four hot ideas, which is kind of, these four are kind of the end of my slides. But
all right, let's go through them.
Number one is there's power in pre-selling. The harder your marketing works, the easier your selling goes. So you know, if somebody shows an inquiry to you, you know, the conversion process is not just the selling conversation, but, you know, if somebody inquires to me, you know, I send them a copy of my book, and then I send them, you know, 5 videos, you know, drip 3 days apart. And
Right.
the whole purpose of that is to raise the buying temperature. So if somebody does pick up the phone and call me, they're already kind of pre-sold. It's just about working out the details and making sure that it is calibrated with who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we're talking about crash course in selling, the second thing is establishing the price frame.
Which is?
The price frame is, what's his name? Who's that guy? Bob Proctor.
Oh,
Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor says most people are asking the wrong question. They're saying, am I worthy of the client, or am I worthy of the job? And we should be asking, is the client worthy of me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the prize. You know, when I walk in the room, I bring the party with me, and when I leave, I take the best part of the party with me. You know, selling is like being on American Idol. But you're not the contestant trying to impress the judges. You're Simon Cowell trying to assess who's worthy of the prize. So, you know, a lot of times I think we come in kind of needy, wanting that sale, thinking that the money is the prize. But if we work on, you know, like I showed you previously, on giving so much value in terms of understanding their problem and having a real solution for that problem. Mm-hmm. Like oh, and by the way, there's a cost of doing business with me. You need to memorize this. There's a cost of doing business with me, but there's a cost of not doing business with me. And the cost of not doing business with me is typically staying stuck in your problem.
Yeah.
And so this is about being the prize. I know that when people hire me, their business will do better. They will get more sales. They will get more customers. They will do things more economically with their time. They will have more time freedom. Okay. And so, you know, it's really important to get to that place where we realize I'm changing lives. Remember, we spend money on things that improve our lives. And the reason people pay us money is because we're here to make their life better. And if we really do that as a massive contribution, we really are the prize.
Yeah, that's a big one. That was has been really helpful for me to switch that piece around and never kind of come from that place of desperate for that one sale.
You know, and you know, in my business, I help people start a new business from scratch. So, you know, if they pay me $3,000, okay, I help them create a new business that might make them $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 a month, year after year. Right. You know, an extra $5,000 a month is $60,000 a year over 10 years. That's $600,000 that they're going to make for what they paid me. You know, the value that they get long endures and is much greater than the small amount I get paid in cash.
Right. Exactly.
And that's where you want to be, that like they get way much more than what they're giving me. Mm-hmm. And if it's like a scale, it's like, wow, I get so much. Of course I'll give them the money.
Yeah. What's next?
Okay. The next one is this idea of creating the doggy dinner bowl effect. Okay. We've all either had dogs or at some point we've been around dogs. And your dog might be sleeping, and then at some point you crack open the food can, and what happens is the dog's still sleeping? No way. Right. The dog is jumping up and down. They're wide awake. They're salivating. Their ears are perked up. Their tail is wagging. Gotta have some. Gotta have some. And this is what we're trying to create. And Doggy Dinner Bowl, I learned again from the pickup artist, and Alfred Hitchcock is what I learned from Talkie, is that, you know, we don't need to be so worried about the words that we say, our script. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to be so worried about our state. What's really important is if the client gets in the Doggy Dinner Bowl effect, if they are excited about what we're doing, we could be like not in the best sales energy, but mm-hmm. their energy will desire to buy from us.
Okay? So how do we do that?
And so the idea here is just to recognize, number one, is that people are in state. Okay. They most people are not real high and excited all the time. And most people aren't low and depressed. Most people are kind of going bzzz, right in the middle. Yeah. And so our sales process needs to get them up here excited about what they want. And we need to like get them to kind of like sober up about their current reality. And we need to ask about their problems and their roadblocks and their obstacles. And we need to take people on an emotional journey to get them feeling. So instead of just, these are the words I say with no intention behind them, we need to really be thinking about, I need to reconnect them with their sense of possibility. And I need to, all progress begins by telling the truth. Like, you need to sober up. It's like, I know you got these $1 billion dreams, but last month you couldn't pay your rent.
Right.
And so it's like, if you want to be a billionaire, if you want to be a millionaire, you got to be 100,000-aire first.
Right.
If you want to be 100,000-aire, you got to be a 10,000. So the point is by asking questions, and this gets a little bit into neuro-linguistic programming, but the whole idea is there's a fine line between elicitation and installation, and the words we use can suggest states. Mm-hmm. And so our job is to make sure that they feel the whole emotional range, because that's the whole idea of like gap selling, is get a gap between where you are versus where you want to be. Very simple example of this is, imagine the amount of money that you made last month. Mm-hmm. Okay, sit with that number. Okay. And then there's another number. How much do you want to make in the next month?
Right.
My guess is they're two different numbers. And my guess is if you try and hold those two numbers simultaneously, there's a tension between those. It's an emotional tension. Right. That emotional tension is critical to getting people excited about buying from you.
Yeah.
So awesome. That's the third hot idea. Any questions about that, or was that pretty good?
No, that's pretty good. Yeah.
And then the fourth point here is you want to be able to reverse the risk. When you reverse the risk, you can close more sales. And I learned this from Jay Abraham. Mm-hmm. Most business, in any given transaction, I'm the seller, you're the buyer. I have some risk on my shoulders. You have some risk on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. The more I can take the risk off of your shoulders and make it completely safe, the more likely more and more people will take that transaction up if they feel it's safe.
Yeah.
And that could be a guarantee. It could be just like, I won't let you buy until, I don't want your money if it's not right for you. And if it's not right for you, I don't want your money. And I won't let you buy from me unless you talk to 5 previous clients that are thrilled. I'll even let you talk to one that's not quite completely thrilled. In real estate, you can't say, well, if you buy this home, I'll give you your money back. But what you can say is we'll do everything to make sure you get in the right home. And if for some reason it's not the right home and you really feel like it, I'll put it on the market at absolutely no charge, and I'll help you find another home, and I'll waive all of my commissions.
Right. So you take the risk out of the equation.
I just want people to know that I stand by what I do. It's really about taking a stand that, like, when you do business with me, I'm going to guarantee that you win one way or another.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's really my slides and my presentation. There's a lot more, but I just thought I would put something together that, I think would be useful. And I think if you go into, your situations with these mindsets, I do not get nervous in sales situations at all. I'm here to get to the truth of a good fit. I know I bring a ton of value. I'm here as a massive contribution. And I know it's not right for everybody. And there is a cost to what I do, but there's also a cost to not doing what I do. And, a lot of people say, well, I can get it cheaper somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Go ahead if you want to take that risk.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm a trained professional, and if you want to get amateurs on your business, that's fine. Hey, I know some college interns that'll work for free, but they don't know what I know, and they're not going to help you. Again, my business is and we're all of our business is like a telephone booth. I know that when you go through and you learn these processes, you're way better off on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's in that confidence of knowing you're better off on the other side. Of course, I charge a fee for that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I love it, man. The timing of this is bizarre, but I just got an emergency text from my daughter, who is at Starbucks and needs to be taken to practice. So I'm glad that it worked out where we could go through the whole thing. Joe, I want to thank you. I have to end this a bit more abruptly than I normally would. And so my apologies for that. I've got to go handle this thing.
Okay, why don't we just tell people how they can get a hold of me?
Yeah, let them know how they can get a hold of you.
Go to employeeescapeplan.com, and at the very top of the page is a schedule an appointment thing. And if you want to talk and continue the conversation, get on my calendar and check out my website. And I'm here to help. I mean, if you're having trouble with selling and marketing, this is my life. This is what I do. I'm really here to help people create a business that works. I'm really committed to that. So
I feel like it shows too. So thank you again, man. I really appreciate your time today. And I've got to bail.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Jim.